anyway, so John, you all know John. He's the one that's kept us kind of on budget, and he will again kind of be our lead on the construction. So he's really good about turning over shop drawings quickly, making sure the contractor's never waiting for things, getting answers, and really kind of never putting us or the committee in the situation where we're being accused of holding anything up. So, and then Jeff is on here with his lovely mug, and you know, you guys have known him, well, Derek's known him since 2015, and he's the one that is put together the set of drawings, looked at every floor drain and roof drain, as you know, and
Well, that's why those bottom three bids were what, within 3%?
those bottom three bids were within 3.61%. So, you know, Jeff will definitely stay involved. You know, he'll be involved in these meetings. He'll be involved, you know, looking over the submittals and making sure that, you know, things are kind of where he and his team of designers, you know, wanted it to be. And then I'll be here just to do these silly, you know, little talks at night, and I'm kind of being facetious, but John sits right next to me. Every time he comes back from the site, I have to look at 20 or 30 slides of what's going on, and Jeff gets subjected to the same thing. So there'll be three of us. We still have finishes to go through, so at some point, a couple months from now, we probably will have collected all the finish samples, you know, what flooring, what ceilings, what, you know, all the various things that we talked about with the finishes committee. So Steve, our designer, and myself and Jeff will still be kind of involved with that subcommittee. And at some point, we'll come back to you with, you know, kind of a recommendation of all the finishes that go in the building and what the patterns are and this and that. And I think, you know, I guess I can kind of wrap it up there for now.
So that brings up the furniture procurement and how that all works, Gene.
Yeah, that actually, I'm glad you mentioned it, John. So there's loose furnishings, and then there's also the technology. Anything, what this bid includes is all the wiring and the outlets, kind of, we call it the infrastructure for technology. That's all included in this bid. And then what will end up happening, I don't know, 8 months, 10 months before, you know, you want to occupy the building, we will at that point get together with our technology consultant and the district's technology people, and we'll start going through what the latest and greatest and best price pieces of technology are. You know, we could put a bid out today, but you know, you can all imagine that a year from now there'll be better stuff less expensive, or better stuff same price. So we kind of wait until you're almost ready, so it's arriving, you know, within, I don't know, maybe 3 months, 4 months before you're going to occupy the building. So you have time to set it up, get it all working correctly, but it's also kind of the latest and greatest stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that with, you know, we know, and we're hopeful this vaccine is going to be very successful, but lead time on a lot of these products have actually extended. If anyone's trying to buy appliances or any type of computers, it's been a 12 to 16 week, where it used to be only 4 to 6. So,
Right.
You know, we'll have to take that into consideration as we move forward, and we'll know, we're purchasing right now for other situations, and we'll be doing that over the next 18 months. So we'll have a better feel at the timeline around that, and we'll be able to give you better outline as to when best to suit that through either the state bid list, or we bid it out, you know, through the procurement process. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. And the same thing will happen with the furniture. And with the furniture, there'll be, at some point, we will actually have, we'll work with the committee. We'll decide kind of what pieces of furniture you think you like, and there might be 2 or 3 different tables or 2 or 3 different chairs or desks. And at some point, we'll grab a gymnasium somewhere and we'll have samples delivered, and people can kind of touch, feel, sit in things, and then we'll go through the process with you of buying out the furniture. But again, that's probably could be a year away, you know.
Okay. Was that all you had, Gene?
Pretty much. I mean, we're obviously thrilled at where you are, and very happy for you all.
Yeah, again, thanks for the all the due diligence that the team put in, including RDA. I guess I was going to use that as a lead into a question for Joe. We started talking about the contingency. So what happens with the uncertainty of the pandemic and any delays that might cause that we're not anticipating right now? How does that play in with this contract? Whether it leads to just a delay, a justified delay, I don't know the right contracting term, or any additional costs. How does that work out? Just
So this is substantiated. So that's a, great, we've been dealing with this regularly right along. What we will do is we'll analyze their master schedule as we get it. And their master schedule is going to show the completion date of that July 2022. So what we don't know is that typically most contracts and MSBA contracts omit like pandemics from them being able to substantiate, a claim against it. What the state has done and the federal governments have done is that they initiated, if there's costs associated with providing cleaning that was above and beyond natural, standardized construction as the pandemic, we had to put wash stations in. They entertained allowing the contractor to bill for them, but they also gave the districts money, state money, to offset that, but you had to apply for it. So my recommendation is to maybe add some money to your overall contingency, just so that you have a comfort level if something, if something goes sour with the whole vaccine and the exterior countries that are making a lot of the products go into a shutdown early next year, it could affect the overall schedule. So it's always to err on the side of caution. The contingency isn't something, like I said, you're gonna turn around and spend. It's something that you have as a placeholder in case you need funds to be available to handle a situation of that nature. Now, typically what happens is when we have a bid savings, if there's line items that we feel that are a little light, or we made the budget line items really tight because we were concerned about overall costs, we increase them a little bit, just, proportionately, just to make sure that you have coverage. The last thing you want to do is like FF&E, if you had, $4 million set aside for FF&E and you go out and you solicit, as Gene indicated, 10 months from now, and they come in 4 million too, you're drawing from the contingency at that point. So you just want to make sure you have a healthy contingency so that in the event that you need it, you have the ability to go to it, especially where in the position that you're in right now.
So not to belabor it, because I think that covered it well. So what's the next step? Do we have to declare a contingency to the school building authority? Does the team just come up with one and the owner agrees, or is there a strategy that we come up with, or
Yeah. So
how does that work and when?
So the bottom line is the MSBA is only going to give you so much towards the overall project on the reimbursement. They're not really reimbursing you on they'll reimburse you on contingency items if they're legitimately, shown within, the change orders are legitimate with under their criteria. They're not going to give you, like, if you add, I'm going to use ballpark numbers. If you added $500,000 to your contingency, they're not going to give you a reimbursement of that contingency if it's purchased items that you were owner requested, or if there was items that you were looking to purchase outside of the overall contract, like doing a field improvement. They've already extended all of their maximum values of reimbursement on each of these line items. So how the MSBA looks at it is they're going to look for a final overall budget with now that we actually have the bids in hand. And Mike and Alyssa will be putting that together based on some of the discussion we have. We don't have to make a decision tonight on what we're doing with the bid savings or adding any line items to the contingency. I want the committee to think about it. So in January 11th, we can categorically look at each of these line items. And if Mike and I and Alyssa and the architectural team feel that one line item may need a little bit of, contingency, we're going to talk to you about that.
All right, so why don't we plan to have that on the agenda? And maybe you could come to the meeting with recommendations just based on your and
Observations.
RDA's, knowledge of how the whole package went together and the things that, are at risk for maybe being affected by something like the pandemic. Because we're in the enviable position that our bids came in low. So it's obviously not a $10 million contingency that we're going to have, but maybe we do want to give ourselves some margin there so that we don't shortchange ourselves.
Yeah,
So I'd like to see a recommendation on that. Then we can have a discussion, and then if we have to vote on it, whatever we have to do, we can, put
Right.
that in place so everybody understands.
Perfect. Will do.
All right. I know we had on the agenda a discussion of alternates. Gene, I don't know if we really need to discuss it since the bids came in, favorable. I mean, we're going to take them all, right?
I would recommend it. It's we always had them in the scope of work, and out of an abundance of caution, not knowing the bidding climate as well as we do now, they were just there as kind of a fail-safe, and we don't need to really take them out of the scope. I'd keep them in the scope.
That's our recommendation as well. I mean, essentially to have a motion to approve, to recommend the award based on the base bid plus the alternates.
Including the alternates, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I would just say, I mean, and obviously probably Bacon Construction, right, would be part of the motion.
Yes.
All right. So I think we're getting close to that item. Does anybody have anything, superintendent or the town manager, or anything that we should be considering or that we should discuss before we get to that point?
John, could I just ask a general question to Gene, if possible?
Sure.
So I guess, everybody's excited that we came in so far under budget, but is there anything, Gene, that we really were frugal on that we shouldn't have been frugal on? Or were those all captured in the alternates? I mean, is it, so I guess my immediate concern when I saw the bids come in was, are we putting in, all quality products, or did we cheap out somewhere that we should address that now?
Yeah.
Or can we not address that now? Or are you pretty comfortable with all the selections we made in terms of fixtures and roofing and windows and the type of waterproofing we're doing? I mean, are those, would you still do those today, knowing the numbers that we got?
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing. I mean, Patrick, there's nothing that's that was taken out of this project. We have no interest, and it doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve anyone, in cheapening out on windows or waterproofing or roofs or any of that stuff. So, I mean, categorically, I will say you got a really high level of finishes in this building, and there's things in this building that we haven't done in other schools, like all this school guard glass and the UVC system. You really looked at everything, and those were the things that we were saying, oh, all right, that's our safety valve, but they're all in there. I mean, we never downgraded the finishes.
And knowing the numbers today, I guess, it's always easy to play Monday morning quarterback, but knowing the numbers today, you'd still recommend those finishes and those windows and everything that you put in there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yes.
Pat, I don't think it was design that created, well, I would say they did a great job with the design, obviously, to get the quotes that you had, but you were in, there were three things that actually created such a positive outcome for this bid. One is, your timing of when you put it out to bid, bidding it in late December before a lot of the other projects are bidded in January and February. You got some of the contractors that are trying to line up work for the next 2.5 years. And these contractors, had come off a pandemic. They weren't sure what they had coming up, and they were really looking at good comprehensive drawings and said, you know what, South Shore, south of Boston, easy access, wonderful town to get into and work on. So these guys actually looked at it and sharpened their pencils. To have three contractors within that tight of a number for the scope of that project, and timing was everything. The pandemic helped you because guys were out of work for a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of Boston firms that they stopped work for months. So when they saw this project coming online, and RDA and Daedalus had put the project out to bid, you got a lot of interest on this project. You had 5 bids, and all of those 5 bids were tight. I mean, they were tight for that size project. So I don't think any of the finishes were, compromised. I don't, I think except in the alternates, you're only getting that much of a better product overall. And I think you guys are in a great position to get a quality, well-built school that's going to last you for the next 50 to 100 years.
No, and I guess that wasn't if it came across that way, I apologize. My point was, if there was something that Gene had to do to make the project work, and it could be a long-term maintenance problem for the town, like we used a, lesser grade aluminum window that we would have normally used, I figured right now might be the time to address it. But if he's comfortable with the materials and the longevity of those materials that we selected, and there wasn't a place that we had to cut or to reduce the quality to make it work, I didn't know if now is the time to address it or not. So that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it just never was like that, Patrick. And the MSBA process you go through with all these cost estimates going I don't know how many we've done, 5 or 6 estimates, but Daedalus has done 5, we've done 5. They've all been based on the standard durable 50-year life MSBA school. So.
I have a couple questions to follow up on what Joe just indicated. So, and just you might have already mentioned this in another meeting, but I just want to make sure that I have this as far as the assumptions. So those that have pre-qualified and have submitted the bids, you all are indicating that any of the bids have been submitted, the quality of those contractors will be absolutely outstanding, and that we can go to you to making sure that that standard is being met. Is that correct?
100%. I think, Agostini, I've worked with Bacon Agostini on 4 different projects, and each one of them, the quality of construction is ideal. I mean, they take pride in their work. They actually, they'll go above and beyond and make recommendations to the district and do improvements at their own cost, just to make sure. Steve, the owner, actually attends some of the job meetings. You'll be pleasantly surprised with them.
Okay, great. And then for the bids, is there anything in the language that indicates that they're not to exceed a certain percentage of their bid, or we just kind of have to go because I'm thinking with the pandemic, some things might cost more as we come out of this, and I understand we have contingency, but what is placed upon the burden of the general contractor to keep the costs low?
That would be your wonderful OPM. We're going to make sure, the designer, we're going to make sure that they stay within their constraints. Typically, coming out of the ground is the biggest expense for unforeseen conditions. And we've already kind of isolated that by demoing the existing building. That's a lot of unknowns as we were doing it. And we figured that out as we move forward. The owner initiated changes are another high category as to, where change orders occur. There's going to be, a few conflicts here and there that Gene's team did a wonderful job doing the coordination and you know, did all of their, you know, analysis, but there will be, you know, challenges of components on how they go together, and there will be changes. We monitor those changes individually. We get those change orders. We actually send it to our team and our estimating team to make sure that they're valid, and that, and our team, Michael, myself, and Alyssa will be going through the drawings to make sure that they're valid. And then we ensure that the value, not only the validity of making sure that the change is required, but the cost associated with it. So, and at that point, we make a recommendation to the committee. So we have complete control over making sure that they're building this building for the cost that they proposed.
Great, thank you. And so one more follow-up to that, your answer. So, and I cannot recall, if this has already been asked and answered, and I apologize if it has. So if something does exceed in that cost, have we agreed to a certain percentage of a threshold that you all can make that decision, and then at a certain point, then it needs to come back to the committee?
So that'll be discussed at a later meeting. I think the building committee, you know, typically, and that's part of the subcommittee that we'll be talking about. Typically they award a certain value that allows the OPM and the designer to authorize the general contractor to move forward. So it doesn't hurt the schedule or impede a cost associated with the schedule moving forward. And that's a value that I can tell you what a standardized recommendation on projects of this size and this nature would be.
Great, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good questions.
John, this is Jeff Yost.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how's everyone?
Great.
One of the things I did want to talk about is the pre-bid or post-bid and the addenda that we're dealing with. We're actually doing a conform set, so it's a one-stop shopping. We're not having to look at different addendum to figure out what we own versus the bid document. So we're doing a conform set on that, and we're planning to have that done in the first couple of weeks of January and incorporate all those items into it. So we have basically a Bible for the project that's everything is in. I will say to Mike Dutton, I did get the insurance in with the latest updates, Mike, on that. So we're good there. And what we do, I won't get into too big of specifics, but we issued full sheets so that they're fully addendized. And so it allows us, instead of just writing a sentence change detail so-and-so, we actually clouded the detail and then issued the sheet to make sure that everything was addressed and there was no gaps in that. But also in the specs, we'll be highlighting the changes in red that are adds, and then, you know, striking out as deletes. We won't erase anything, so it's clear exactly what is in the documents. And so that's the middle of next month that we'll have that ready.
Jeff, you'll be supplying a copy of those drawings to obviously the on-site representation, and our office would like a set, just so that as changes come in, we can reference it with yourself and Gene and your CA on site, just to show that we're on the same page with anything that might be coming up in the future. That's all.
Yes, we would be doing that, Joe.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments before we vote? All right, so who's going to do the honors of making a motion?
This is
John,
Michael, and I'll make the motion.
Pat, did you have a question, or were you chiming in on the motion?
No, I was going to make the motion, but Mr. Dolan can do it. It's fine.
All right. Was someone making the motion? Was that
Sorry, John, it's Mike Dolan. I'll make the motion to approve the general contractor and all of the alternates.
And I'll second that, but with just the general contract would be Bacon Construction, correct?
Correct.
All right, Josh, you want to take the roll?
Sure. John,
Yes.
Michael Dolan,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh. Is Harsh still with us?
Did that come through? Yes.
Thank you. Patrick,
Yes.
John,
John DeValvia.
Deloche,
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Well, congratulations to the team, the district, the town, and most importantly, the future students that'll be attending this school.
John, if you could just put the dollar value in that same motion, just for the general contractor's value and the total value of the alternate, just so that we have it for record.
Okay, Josh, so make sure at least the notes reflect that was the basis from which the motion was made.
Sure.
The MSBA's notes are gonna, I mean, your notes and your minutes are gonna need to reflect that, that's all.
So it's number one.
49,916,700,000. And Mike, if you give an aggregate total of all the alternates, 1 through 7.
So the total of the alternates, Bacon's value is 685,451.
So John, do you want a new motion or are you good with just adding those to the notes?
At this point, I think we already voted, right? So I think if the notes reflect, because it's public, it's going to be published. It's public information anyways. So
Yep.
I think that should be sufficient, right, Joe?
That'll be perfect. I just wanted the values included, that's all. Just so that, if there's a question of, we voted to approve Bacon for the general and the alternates, just to have the values associated with it reflected, that's all.
Great point. All right. The next item is report of the communication group.
So the only item we'll have, John, is we will be updating the website, obviously, to announce this, the motion that just passed, along with all of the supporting documentation for the bids that we received. So now that that is all public record, we want to make sure that that's accessible for taxpayers to get to. So those updates will be happening within the week.
That sounds great. And maybe, Michael, for the January 11th meeting, we can have a discussion on what to plan going forward. There'll be permits pulled and ground broken and, those kind of things. Maybe we could brainstorm to see if there's anything we want to communicate or how we want to communicate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically the ceremonies that would happen with the groundbreaking, I'm not sure will happen, but we'll work through those.
Good point. Virtual groundbreaking.
Right.
And Michael, so what, well, it's a general question to anybody who knows the answer. So what's the next step? Do we have to transmit anything in writing in a certain way to the school committee for their action? Or does it just get added on the agenda?
So it's already on the agenda. So we'll bring this for our vote on Wednesday night. We don't necessarily need anything formal because Lil and I are both here, so we're good there.
Okay, great. All right. The lights went out.
Burning the midnight oil.
Well, it must be a pandemic
sensor.
time setting because they never go out this early. Okay, the next item is approval of the previous October 19th committee meeting minutes.
Kathy, motion to approve.
Lil, second.
Any discussion? All right, why don't we take the roll?
John,
Yes,
Michael Dolan,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
John DeZila,
Yes.
Michael Loesch,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
all right, the next agenda item is public comment.
I just want to wish you guys congratulations. It was, I'm excited for this project and for the town of Bridgewater.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while since this all set in motion. All right, well, if anybody has anything, they can add it now.
Have we done any bonding yet?
No, we're in the process of going out to bond. We've just completed the official statement for the financial advisors, and the sale date is going to be on January 20th. And we should have all the notes and papers in time for the school committee to sign at their meeting on the 27th. And we'll be sending the documents back, and on February 3rd, we should receive the proceeds.
Kathy, do you have any idea of rates at this point in the ballpark?
They're, somewhere in the 2.5 range. And
Could
I
you
know
repeat that?
they weren't
Kathy?
that comfortable. They said it was somewhere in the 2.5 range. We could, go anywhere from that to 275. It could be less as well. But they weren't comfortable saying anything lower at this point.
What did we use when we had that calculator out on the website?
I believe it was 5%, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken, Michael Sutton.
He had to drop off to get to another meeting.
It was
I believe
5%.
It was.
It was 5%.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then this question might not be for this committee, but do we know when that will hit the taxes for the
Yes, we do.
residents?
Yes, we do. What's going to happen, because usually after you've borrowed, it's usually 6 months after the borrowing that you'll have an interest payment. And you'll have a principal and interest usually like 12 months after. So the first payment looks like it's going to be February. Wait a minute, I got the interest payment there. It's going to be in fiscal year 2022. This thing didn't print out right, but it says the first interest payment is February 1st of 22. I'm not sure if that was correct on this printout. But it probably won't be until sometime July or August, because usually it's 6 months. You have an interest payment and then you have a principal and interest. So that's what I'm anticipating.
Kathy, maybe we could have just a little recap of that on the 11th,
Okay,
after you've had time to
yeah.
work it out.
This
At
was
least
a-
the timing, general timing of things.
Yeah, this was a proposed schedule. So when I get the full one, I'll discuss it with her. Just simply because I know that date, it didn't seem right.
That'd be great. I know at the last town council meeting or a couple ago, Matt, jump in if I say this wrong, but I think we were talking about the tax rates and a resident asked if the school payments would be, when they would start to be included. So I think people are, especially as we start saying we're bidding and the project starts, people are gonna be interested in that.
Well, we believe at our January meeting for the school committee that we will have our financial advisor there. And obviously anyone who is interested is welcome to be joining in on the meeting and asking questions. So on, I believe it's the 27th is the school committee meeting. And, that would be a good time for folks to ask these kinds of questions that maybe they can explain a little better than myself. I just want to check the date here. Yes, I believe it's the 27th is going to be the school committee.
January 27th.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
John,
All
I
right.
have to excuse myself, but if you had any other further questions, feel free to contact me or email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else for the committee? Well, the public, if there's anybody on. And if not, we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Mark.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Lil, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Lil.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, John,
Yes.
Michael Dolan,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
John DeZilo,
Yes.
Michael Loach,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved. The meeting is adjourned.
Night.
Night,
All
everyone.
right. Happy holidays.
Nice.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.